This podcast is brought to you by Penji. Penji is a creative subscription service that gives you access to pre-vetted, agency-trained creatives from all over the world. From graphic design to illustrations to social media management and web development, it's all included for one monthly price. It's time to say goodbye to the hassle of searching for top-notch creative talent. With Penji, you get quality and consistency delivered right to your inbox every day, carefully crafted for you by humans. So meet your new creative team today. Head over to penji.co for more and enter the coupon code located within the podcast show notes.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Fully Managed Podcast. This is the podcast where we discuss marketing tips, business tips, all kinds of tips to help assist you guys in your business journeys. I'm your host, Daniela, and I'm Penji's partnership coordinator. I'm joined here today with a very special guest, Janet Taylor from Totally Organized. Hi, Janet.
Hello, Daniela. How are you? I'm excited to be here.
I'm so excited to have you today on the show. I am very interested in learning about your business because it's so particular. I feel like I talk to a lot of business owners who are, in very traditional type of like B2C, B2B type of things. I've never really talked to someone who's in an organizing business. So I'm very, very looking forward to learning from you.
I'm excited to be here and to share.
Awesome. Well, Janet, just to kind of break the ice a little bit and get us started and just to give context to viewers who don't know who you are, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, about Totally Organized, everything that we need to know about you?
So I am what they call a professional organizer, but I really transitioned to a life organizer. I basically go into people's homes and do the closets or help them with the paperwork in their home office. But I also go into businesses and really help them create systems, whether it's for inventory or just those important documents. And of course, like as you do, I also have a podcast, and that just really helps people better understand that there are a lot of areas where they can be organized and they can truly actually live a life where they can manage their time as well as their space.
I think it's such a I'm curious to ask how you ended up having a business like this because it's so unconventional. I feel like it's not something that I've heard of a lot.
So I really started this business because I wanted to really control my finances because I was in a job which I loved. I was doing customer service for a transportation company. Another company had taken over that contract and they were not going to take the existing staff with them. So therefore I was laid off and I'm like, you know what? I don't like the feeling of this. And I was about ready to move out for the first time during all of this. So of course I had to go to my mom and tell her what was going on. And of course she was the loving mother. She's like, well, you really can't, you don't have any place else to go. So I stayed, with her a little bit longer and I just really began to better understand and hear what people were saying about me. They kept saying, when we want something, we can always find it on your desk and you're so organized. And that's when I started doing research. And I connected with a local group of professional organizers, but also got connected with the national group of organizers as well.
So you've done I when I was doing research for the interview, I saw that you've done so many different things. I mean, I know you've dabbled with social media. You've had ebooks, you've had courses. I mean, it's been like you've sort of been able to scale a lot from when you got started, right?
Oh, yes, because like when I got started, it was just flyers and yellow. It was just flyers and word of mouth, which really kind of really helped me better understand my market. And that's why I got into doing not webinars, but actually on-site workshops and communities because those communities had my ideal clients. So therefore it was like, okay, this community has these little workshops. They send them out to over 200,000 homes. You know what I need in that booklet. And that's how I got a lot of my clients as well. But yes, everything kind of transitioned because then the workshops, I would give out notes and somebody said, oh, you know what? I would pay for these. So that became like a little handout, which I began to sell, transcripts, which was a big name back then. And then it's just like every time I've been able to really look at what the need was and really transition. Like now I've got ebooks because that's the popular way and it's short, it's to the point, and it just really helps people with strategies on really how to organize their life.
So what to me is insane is that you started this in 1994, which is so long ago. I mean, I wasn't even born then, and all I can think of is that like the landscape was probably so different when it comes to marketing. And a lot of people don't realize that when you're starting a business as a small business owner, marketing is probably one of the most important things that you're going to do because the way that you market that is going to really, influence whether your business takes off or not. And I'm just so curious to know how that was. I mean, how different was your marketing back then, and how have you actually been able to adapt? Because I feel like since 1994, so much has changed
Well, yeah.
in, like how people market businesses.
Yes, and like I said, it was flyers. It was basically flyers. It was basically taking on any and every speaking engagement that would get me in front of a group of people that I knew were my ideal clients. So, of course, a lot of groups and organizations were always looking for somebody to speak at their monthly meetings. So that's how I did it. I did a lot of networking back then, meeting people, passing out my business cards. And then, of course, as I began to work with clients, then I started like what I call a referral program, which basically I'm like, look, if you refer me and this client actually utilizes my services, I will give you an hour of organizing. One of my clients actually racked up 5 hours because she just kept referring me. She's like, look, I need you. So I'm gonna just keep referring you. So that's how it really got started. Is just those basic, just almost just, handing out flyers, getting in front of people. Of course, now it's a little different with social media, but still, it's really the connection because people have to feel comfortable with me either in their home or in their office going through their stuff. So it's really about once I get in front of people, then building that connection.
That was another thing that I think was at the forefront of my mind with my questions, which is how important trust is for you. Because I feel like with your business, having someone all up in your business, basically, figuratively and literally, whether it's your office or your home, and this person is basically going to go in and pass a judgment of how your organization is most likely not good. And I'm imagining that a lot of people who are messy, who struggle with organizing, I mean, I've felt ashamed when I've had friends over to my house and it's not like pristine. I can't imagine having someone come into my house if I have, like, a problem with having organization and then sort of having that person being, like, a complete stranger and being like, "You need to, like, get rid of so many cups," or, like, "You need to put them in this one thing," or whatever it is. So I'd be like, how have you been able to sort of navigate that part of the relationship or with client versus, the person offering the service?
So again, it's a lot of marketing because again, it's that referral. Because when somebody refers me to someone, they really like, okay, this is somebody I can open up my home to, I can trust. And of course, I have confidentiality clauses in my contract when I work with people and let them know that. But really it's just about that initial contact. It's that initial me coming in the home. And also I let people know I am not in there to judge. I let them know I understand life happens. And sometimes things don't get put back. Sometimes people just don't, they have a system, but then it's not working. So I make sure that they understand. And of course, again, that's all in part of the marketing is let people know I'm not coming in there and telling you got to throw everything out. I'm coming in there to help you really maximize your space. So when you walk in the door, you can enjoy it, but also when you're in your office, you know that you can find things the first time you look. And it's building that trust. It's letting them know I'm not going up and down the street telling everybody your business. Whatever I see here stays here.
I also think it's just, like, for someone who struggles with organization, I'm imagining that it's already a huge step to sort of reach out and ask for help. So, like, I guess, like, making the process just as easy for them as possible is highly appreciated when I think it's just what's amazing to me is how vulnerable of an experience it probably is for a lot of people. I think it would be for me because I would be, like, mortified that you would be going through my stuff and then Even if you're not saying it, I think it would just be going through my head, like, "What is she thinking? Is she enjoying me?"
And I make it fun. I try to make it really fun, Daniela, when I am in there. Because I remember one time I was helping a client clear out some storage units, and tucked in the corner was a dot matrix printer. And I shared with them, and as I approached it, I said, "Oh my goodness, oh my goodness." And they were like, "What? What's in the corner?" I said, "It's a dot matrix printer." And he's like, "Yeah, but I can." And I says, "But can you get ink? Can you get paper for this thing?" They were like, "Well, no." And so I truly make it just kind of fun and just like it's a journey, and it's not like you're getting rid of stuff, you're making room for stuff. And it's interesting when I see the dynamic specifically with couples. One woman wanted to save a high chair. Well, her daughter was already living and working in New York. She's saving a high chair for the grandchildren. And I just shared with her, I'm like, "Well, I've only been working with you for a moment, but I think knowing you and your husband, you're going to want to buy new things." And the husband was he's like, "Janet, I've been trying to get that thing out the house forever, but you thank you." And actually one time he was actually on his way to work and he's like, "Oh no, you come, I'm staying because I want to work with you." So that makes me feel good as well.
Yeah, I can imagine because I feel like, I mean, I I also wanted to ask because I feel like organization in your home, in your office, in your space is really important. It really kind of sets the tone of how you work a lot of time. But I feel like it's something that's overlooked or kind of put in the back burner because other things get prioritized. And that's kind of how you end up with really cluttered homes. And, like when you realize you're hoarding a bunch of stuff that you're never using, all of these problems that happen. How do you actually how has your experience been with dealing with people to actually feel like the service that you're providing is going to give them value? I don't know if that question makes sense. I think because it can be sort of like put in the have just be on back of people's minds. I imagine that a lot of people are like, do I really need a service? I could just clean up one day." And like how have you been able to sort of work with your marketing and all of that to sort of explain that it is important and you can provide a lot of value?
And I think with that, in regards to the marketing, I always use my client testimonials. And that really helps because one client, she was able just by really creating a structure for her. So each month she already knows what bills she needs to take care of, what things she needs to do. She was actually able to get rid of a car loan. So she doesn't have any car payments anymore. She paid off a couple of credit cards, and now she has like a spreadsheet that I created for her and she could just go down and just check things off. But not only is it helping her, if anything should happen to her, because she's retired, she says now she can just hand it off to her son, and he could just, he's like he's not fumbling and trying to think, "Okay, mom, what are your bills?"
Yeah.
So it helps him that way, but also it just relieves stress. And I think sometimes when I share with people and in my marketing, like we're talking about reducing stress. We're talking about when you open up a closet that you're not standing there just wondering what to wear because everything in there you love and you can fit. And you're not going trying on things, can't fit this, I don't look good in this, and doing things like that. Or even something, Daniela, as simple as just creating a system for the shoes when you come home so that you're not tripping over shoes by the front door or the entrance. So, or finding your keys the first time you look.
Yeah, I know. I think like, I have raging ADHD. I got diagnosed when I was a kid. Um, so it's kind of just something that's I've always been aware of. With that, I think a disorganized mind is a really big, I don't know if it's a symptom, but it's like a part of having ADHD. So I'm the type of person that just like my thoughts are like scattered and I think that it really affected me when I started to sort of realize that that was also how I operated in life. I would do my schoolwork that way when I was a kid and I was in school. Did my job that way when I started working. I organized my life like entirely because my brain operated that way, and I didn't realize how much it didn't help me because it was so messy. And I had, like, one of my former bosses kind of sit me down one day, and he was like, "You need to, like, get your organization in check." And, like, he was like, "Because you are so scatterbrained, and I wouldn't say like scatterbrained that I don't think of stuff, but like
Mhm,
my
mhm.
brain was just so all over the place that she was like, "You need to sort of like hone, like sort of like make it more streamlined and organized in order for you to be successful because you're starting a bunch of stuff and never finishing it. You're forgetting about it." Like, she kind of just like sat me down and made me kind of like realize that it was such an important aspect of my life. Um, and I think like what you do is great because even though I was able to sort of pinpoint that that was something that I needed to work on, it was not like I could just like be like, okay, I need to be more organized. I'm just gonna do that. Because then it was okay, how? How do I do that if I've been living my entire life just being just completely, chaotic? And now from going from chaos to organization is also not a thing that you just do like this, right?
Yeah, that's right. It's like a process. And what I try to tell people, and it's specifically now that we have social media and the tips that I share, is that, you just do little things. You don't necessarily have to, when you want to get organized, people think, oh gosh, I got to give all weekend or a whole day. No, sometimes it's just doing one thing, clearing out a junk. Or, I give tips on how you can just kind of organize your day professionally. Sometimes it could just start by before you end your official work day, it's just like, okay, what are some of the things that I need to focus on that next day? So, really, it is about doing little things, not thinking about the big thing. And sometimes, even when we do have those tendencies to procrastinate because we see the big picture and it's just so like it's so many things, and it's like, you know what, I got to do that later. It's just pausing and sometimes getting out a simple blank piece of paper and just writing everything down that needs to be done and just doing, okay, this is the first thing I'm going to do. Okay, I see number two, but you know what? I think I want to move down to number three because I want to get these phone calls out the way and then maybe move, but just moving up and down the list, it's just simple things.
Yeah. And I think it really does make a difference. What's insane to me is how much sort of doing small changes to organize your life is going to really affect the way that you sort of handle things. Um, I did something similar. Like I kind of was like neglecting a lot of my emails. It was my first job ever, by the way. Because I didn't like I would think sometimes I couldn't reply right away because I had to figure out the answer of the email that I was getting, right? And so I would forget that I didn't reply to the email because it's not like I could just email a person back. And then I think sort of having an organized thing of like, okay, in order to reply to this email, I need to do one, two, three things, kind of just helped me focus more than if I was just like opening my inbox and then forgetting about them and then letting them get buried.
And that is true, and it is really just kinda creating a process for yourself. Like, some people, they come in and they just automatically in the morning look at all the emails. Maybe that works for some people, or maybe some people just need to kind of look at their day, look at their schedule, and like, "Okay, these are the things I need to do." But it's creating your own process.
Yeah, totally. And I think like I mean that onto to add on to the fact that you were creating your own process, I wanted to ask you since I think organization is such a personal thing. And it's such a like it's tied to your own idiosyncrasies, I would say, and like people's whatever life you live. The way that you're organized or disorganized or whatever is probably going to be like influenced by a lot of those factors. But I'm curious if there's, like, any kind of, like, things that you notice or patterns or things that, generally speaking, you see your clients being challenging or challenges that they faced a lot of times.
I think a lot of times the challenges is the overwhelm because they've got so many things going on and not just taking a moment again just to sit down and see everything, see when you things are due and creating a list because a lot of times people keep everything in their head and just putting it down on a list, whether it's a digital calendar, whether it's a planner. But also I see that if there is no structure or order, you can get overwhelmed. And of course, you don't even know what to do because there's some clients I have to work with. I have to keep them focused. They will turn around and they will lose completely. And I'm like, no, we got to focus on this. I know you see that over there, but let's stay focused on this. So a lot of times it's the focus. A lot of times, and I tell people sometimes we have to learn how to let go of things because we just have so much. And when you have less to manage, then that's less to organize, less to put away. And sometimes, Daniela, it's really trying to getting ourselves in the habit of if we take something out of a drawer, just putting it back, hanging things up, putting things away. So sometimes it's just those things because we feel like, you know what, I'm tired. I don't have time. I don't want to do this. And sometimes also, it's really knowing how much time things take. For example, laundry. We put the laundry in the washer, and then we may even put it in the dryer. We take it out, but then for some reason, that's where it just lands. And it's really looking at the whole process. It's like, okay, I'm going to take them out of the dryer. I'm going to fold them and I'm going to put them away instead of a week later thinking, okay, I don't have anything to wear. Oh, yeah, it's in that pile, but it's just creating time for those things.
Yeah. I also wanted to ask you about when you appeared on Rachel Ray. I know you appeared in 2018.
Yeah.
I mean, that must have been so surreal. I think for me, at least, it would have been like crazy.
It was, it was.
I'm curious if that actually helped boost your career. I mean, obviously you were doing pretty well by that point if you were on Rachel Ray. But from the amount of exposure, did that sort of help with marketing or was it, just like passing? How did that really affect you professionally?
Well, that was a really good time, and actually they found me via social media, so that's how they reached out to me, is via social media. The turnaround time for that, it was surreal because the turnaround time was quick. On a Friday, they made a decision, "Janet, we want you in New York next Wednesday." So, which meant I had to get something to wear, I had to do all of that stuff, but it got done. And it did add a lot of different things. I got a lot of recognition specifically here locally. I got a lot of exposure, more exposure in papers and things like that, and radio, and a few different little awards that are given. So it did, help with that type of exposure.
Awesome. And I think was it like surreal to just do it? I mean, were you nervous before you were actually going to go in and film, or was the experience in and of itself fun, or was it more just like nerve wracking and you don't remember it?
I think when I got there, I was nervous, but then of course, it was a contest. So I was up against another professional organizer. But we were in, I guess that's what you call a green room. So we were really having good conversation. It wasn't like it was, oh, I'm not going to speak to that person. But at that time, and it's interesting, it's interesting the timing of that as it is now. So the Eagles had just won a Super Bowl. Villanova had just won a championship, the basketball championship, our college, our local college. So my mindset was like, I gotta come home with something. I can't not come home. And but you're right, it was surreal because when one of the producers, she put her hand on my shoulder, which I knew that was a signal I needed to go out and it was like, I don't remember any of that. I don't remember um being in front of all those people, the audience. I do remember at least meeting Peter Walsh, but then when he crowned me, that was just unbelievable because I wasn't even thinking that. When they put that crown on my head, I was like, "What?"
What? I can sponge.
Which is actually wait, it's on this side. It's on this. Yeah, you see it right above me.
Oh
And,
yeah.
yep,
Yeah,
that's
yeah, I see it. I see it.
yep,
Yeah, it's hard to like the cameras to like,
yeah,
but
yep. But yep, there it is. Yep, I keep it right behind me. But yeah,
I mean, I think it would have been. I've never really been like invited to a show like that or done anything.
hmm hmm
I think whenever I've been in whatever situation where I'm in front of a big crowd, it's always a bit intimidating. Um, I had a friend ask me to help like model for this. She was selling clothes and she was like, I want you to like just like put the clothes on and pose. And it was like a whole photo shoot. And I'm not a model. I didn't even like think I was pretty enough to do it at the time. So I was like, girl, what are you doing? And I was so intimidated by the whole thing, like the whole time just being on the camera. It's like, so, I mean, I can't imagine doing something on such a large scale, like an actual show like that.
well, It was interesting. I mean, I had my moments where I was there, but then other moments where I just felt like, is this real? And then I really, when I was on my way back home, it was like everything just like, phew. I was like, really? And of course, because of when it was aired, I couldn't tell anybody what actually happened to me that day.
Yeah.
Because, but I was able to tell at least one person who I knew wasn't going to tell anybody. And then of course, when it came out, other people were like, well, why didn't you say anything? I'm like, because I couldn't.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's like
yeah, I'm like, the
it's like a
documentation.
spoiler for the show.
Yeah. And I'm like, do you know the documentation I had to sign in order not to say anything? And then it was
I
interesting the day of, I forgot that some of my friends are in different time zones. So they were saying what had happened when other friends within the group chat hadn't even seen the episode. So that was an interesting time too. But it was all a wonderful, wonderful experience. And like I said, the between the local news and I received a wonderful recognition. It was really nice and life changing.
that's
And
I also
oh,
wanted to I think and this is the last question that I have for you, but with someone, I think a lot of times I've noticed that this happens with myself, which is why I have this question. I think I'm really good at sort of fixing other people's lives in whatever way, right? Like I can give you really good advice. I could probably tell you where you're doing wrong. I'm good at proofreading something that and I'll tell you what you need to like rewrite and planning out someone's strategy for something, but I'm not good at it for my own projects for myself. It's like it's when I'm when it comes to me, it's like blank. Um, how do you stay organized in your life when I mean, your entire job is to organize other people's lives. I'm wondering how that sort of like bleeds into your personal organization.
well, I mean, I feel that I'm organized the way that it makes me happy. And I let people know there are times, like if I'm traveling and stuff like that, there's stuff all over the place. I recently, and I got so excited, and I shared it with another organizer that I actually organized my freezer. That just made me happy because now I know, before everything was in there, but now it's like it's really in there organized. So yes, those of us who help other people get organized, yes, we have our moments because we're so busy helping other people. We come home. That's the last thing I really want to do is like really go and tackle my closet. But I do have moments. But I also know, just like, my clients, sometimes I need help. I remember one time I just really wanted to do a clean sweep of my closet. There were so many pieces in there I just wasn't sure of. So I asked a friend who was a stylist to come over and really like, okay, I know I got these pieces. You gotta let me know, yes, they stay or do they go? And he was like, nope, you don't look good in it. Nope, doesn't fit right. Nope. And so sometimes we need that support as well.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I like, especially with clothing, oh my God, that has happened so much where like I have had way too many pieces of clothing that are such like unnecessary in my closet because I bought them on a whim or it was a micro trend. And, I bought this shirt that was really cheap and it doesn't go with any of the stuff that I have. So it's just there
Mhm.
much.
Mhm. Mhm. It does. It happens to all of us. I mean, because statistically, they say 80% of the stuff we keep, we never reference again, and we wear 20% of our clothes 80% of the time. So, and you can really think about that. Like, yeah, I always grab that pocketbook. I always wear those sneakers. I always wear that coat. Even though I've got a whole closet full of coats, why am I only wearing one? So, yeah, it happens to all of us.
It happens. I think, like, yeah, being able to reach out to other people who probably know more about that is always a great thing.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um,
All right.
I I think it's a great note to end this podcast on. It's been such a joy to have you on today, Janet. But before we end it, I do want to give you the space to plug anything that you want to plug. If anything that we spoke about today resonated with our audience, if somebody would want you to organize their life, um, the space is yours.
Well, of course, I would invite everyone who's watching, listening to definitely go to my website at janetmtaylor.com. And of course, check out, I've got some new ebooks that I'm very excited that I just launched. And then also, listen to the podcast, Got Clutter, Get Organized, because there's every area. Like if you're a pet owner, if you are possibly maybe taking care of somebody who is elderly, or if you are just really challenged with just organizing your closet and everything else in between, we have got like an episode for you.
Awesome. Yeah. I will be adding those links to the description of the video so that people can easily click them, go and find you. And Jenna, it was such a joy to have you today.
Thank you so much, Daniela. It has been a pleasure. I appreciate the opportunity.
It was great having you today. And guys, I will see you on the next episode.
You've been listening to Fully Managed, brought to you by Penji. Check out the show notes to learn more about today's guest. And to learn more about Penji, the human-first creative subscription service, head over to penji.co. And by the way, if you're still listening, it would mean the absolute world to us if you were to share this podcast with a friend and, of course, subscribe.